If someone sent you this video, that means your joke character isn't funny. This isn't supposed to be a personal attack against you. It's just the sender has gotten real tired of that D&D character that you made as a joke. It's not like you're bad at making characters, it's just Here, let me show you.
Okay, imagine I invited a handful of friends over for me to make ramen for them, and they all agreed to bring one ingredient to add to the ramen. I have the noodles, the pot, the water, the flavor packs, and I start cooking. Soon, other friends start showing up. One person brings green onions, one person brings an egg, but then one person brings a bag of gummy bears. And they're really insistent upon having these gummy bears for the ramen, and no one wants the gummy bears in the ramen, because gummy bears don't go in ramen, but they want gummy bears because they like gummy bears, and they like how they look, and they like how they taste, even though they don't belong in the ramen.
Like gummy bears in the ramen, your D&D character can mess up the whole theme that the campaign is going for. And the theme of your campaign is really important. D&D has the capacity to make you feel like you're not only in an action movie, but you get to control the actions of the heroes in an action movie. This is where a lot of the fun of the game comes from. And the more you stay on theme, the more it can help like you are in a movie or piece of media that you're a fan of. I really like Matthew Colville's example of this, where it's Kermit the Frog in a James Bond movie. Look, I love Kermit the Frog. Who doesn't like Kermit the Frog? But right now we're trying to do an action espionage movie, and Kermit the Frog doesn't really fit into what we're doing right now. This is also assuming that your D&D character keeps the comedic value that you intended when you made the character. And comedic value can run out really quick. And when it does, you might get a visit from the comedy police.
The joke's too funny! I'm not going back to jail!
Sit back down. That was real risky what you pulled back there. You're lucky you're gonna get away with a warning. Now, you get one phone call, you better make it count. I'm sorry, you don't know what you did wrong? Alright, I'll explain it to you, but you're lucky I'm on good cop duty. Now on the official report, you're charged with making a joke character. Now here's something you don't understand about D&D. The jokes happen naturally. You don't have to make a character. If you're with the right people, jokes are gonna happen regardless. Doesn't matter what your character is. Anyone who's played or run a Curse of Strahd campaign knows it doesn't matter how serious things get. No matter how dour the situation is, someone's always gonna crack a wise. D&D is kind of a breeding ground for inside jokes, given its sort of long form, what's the word? Format. Long form format. You're probably going to be playing in the campaign you're in from about 6 to 10 sessions, which is like 2 to 4 months, so you guys are meeting up regularly. So often you're gonna find inside jokes or reoccurring gags in your campaign. The problem comes from when you make your character the meme. The problem is when you make your character into a reoccurring gag. And we all know the long lifespan all memes have, no matter how funny they are. You're not getting it, are you? Here, I'll give you a graph. We got the y-axis, which is the funny, and then we have the x-axis, which is time. Now you may be saying, officer, how the hell are you gonna quantify funny? Comedic value is subjective. Unless it's my comedic value, in which case it is very objective. Now let's say you make a character that rocks the house. I'm talking like George Carlin meets some other famous comedian. It is so funny. You max out your funny value, alright? Your funny value is at its peak. Now the funny value is going to decrease over time, and every single time the joke is retold, it loses value even more. This is why memes have such a short lifespan. It gets told a million times, so by 2 weeks the joke is already old. And since you are going to be playing this character for a whole campaign, your character is going to be mentioned constantly, and since your character is the joke, it's like telling the same joke over and over again, so eventually you just lose all that comedic value. Every single time it's your character's turn and someone says, hey, Pisswagon, it's your turn, you go, it's me, Pisswagon. Guess what? You have like 10 rounds of combat where the DM has to go, okay, Pisswagon, it's your turn again. And so the joke is told over and over and over and over again, so that by the end of session 3 everyone's sick and tired of the joke already, and the DM is plotting to kill your character because they're so annoyed with the character that you made, it's ruining the whole campaign. You see, this is where the campaign ends. You didn't even make it halfway through. You didn't even get past time. You couldn't even get past the E in time. What the hell do you think? I'm sorry. I'm known as a bit of a hothead around here. Let me put it into some more helpful terms. If you want to pull off a joke character correctly, look no further than Scanlan Shorthalt from Critical Role Campaign 1. Now, Scanlan was probably the funniest character in all of Critical Role, past all of the campaigns. And Critical Role wasn't a comedy show. It was a high fantasy actual play. And yeah, people told jokes around the table, but Scanlan was by far the funniest in and out of character. How was he able to pull that off? For one, Sam Riegel is kind of what we call in the biz a professional writer, so the jokes he tells are gonna be kind of good. But one thing he did is he didn't make his character the joke. He didn't tell the joke using his character sheet, he told the joke using his role play. He made a character that would fit in a high fantasy role. Gnome bard named Scanlan. That's your pretty average fantasy character. But Sam Riegel put his twist on the character. Instead of making himself the joke, he made jokes out of the situations that he was put in. He used his spells to tell jokes. He used the enemies that they were fighting to tell jokes. He used different rounds of combat to tell jokes. He made jokes out of the situation he was in, not out of who he was inherently. So since Scanlan wasn't the funny came from the jokes he told, the comedic value was able to fluctuate over time depending on the situations that they were in. When your city gets burned to the ground, it's hard to tell a lot of jokes, but when you turn into a Triceratops and 1v1 one of the mid-boss NPCs, that's a pretty funny situation. I hope you understood all of that. Again, you're probably gonna get let off with a warning, and you do get one phone call, and I think it's about time for that. I don't want to be the guy to tell you to stop what you're doing is wrong, and then leave you with nothing, all right? I want to help you out. I don't want to just shoot you down and then leave you to have to pick up the pieces on your own, all right? I want to help you out with this.
I will never make a criticism if I don't have a resolution.
Let's see if we can work what you already have. To help you out, I'm going to use an example. I'm going to keep the Kermit the Frog example just because I kind of want to challenge myself with fitting Kermit the Frog in like a James Bond espionage style of campaign. Your character's name, I think, is the main reason why someone would find them annoying or not very funny, because the name of your character is really important. It's hard to come up with a fitting name for a character, so this is where a lot of joke characters come up with ridiculously stupid names, purposefully ridiculously stupid names. I'd say 90% of the reason why your joke character is annoying is because you gave them a really dumb name, which communicates to the rest of your group, I don't really care about this campaign, I don't really care about the character that I'm playing. I'm gonna be different just because I think it's funny and the theme of the campaign isn't that important to me. It's borderline disrespectful. I'm sure you don't want to be disrespectful, but that's just kind of the vibes you're giving out when you name your character like that. Names are kind of like a drummer in a band. You can tell when it's really bad, you can't tell when it's good, but when it's really good, you notice. So what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna take the name that you came up with, this really bad name that's not very good, and we are going to change it into something that's passable. Something so good you don't notice it. We're gonna do this by making little modifications with the name that you already have so that it looks like a totally normal name, but they don't realize its dubious origins. So, Kermit the Frog. Let's start with Kermit. Kermit is a very noticeable name. There's only one character in fiction named Kermit, so if you name your character Kermit, people are gonna realize that you based your character off of Kermit and they're gonna get annoyed. What if instead we Kermit. Let's take the sounds, let's find something similar. How about Curtis? That's a much more common name. It's a lot more passable, and you didn't really change your name that much. You still know its origins, and you can have a laugh to yourself, the fact that you based your character off of Kermit, and no one has to be annoyed that your character is named after a Muppet. For the last name, we're gonna simplify it even more. Instead of the Frog as the last name, we're gonna do Green. Curtis Green will be their full name. Curtis Green sounds like the name of a person and not a talking frog. And you can also tell that Curtis Green isn't derived from Kermit the Frog at first glance. You have to really look into it. Or you would have to tell someone, and don't tell someone, that ruins the whole thing. If it helps, try making it a game to see how long you could keep it a secret where you got your character idea from. It'll be our little secret. So immediately with just changing the name, we have improved your character greatly from being just a jokey one-shot kind of character to being a more long-term committed character. But let's not forget, you are still playing a talking frog right now, and that is not going to fit in a James Bond espionage style of campaign. But since you obviously want your character to be funny, maybe be the comedic relief of the party, we're gonna try to figure out a way for you to keep your character's somewhat comedic value without just completely bastardizing them. So instead of making your character the joke, we're gonna find a way to give your character opportunities to create jokes. Bear with me, you'll see what I mean in a sec. Just keep with me for now. Let's go back to the Kermit example. The premise of Kermit the Frog is that he is a talking frog who hosts a variety show. Let's take that premise, fit it into the theme that we're working with. One, we're gonna have to make him human. No talking frogs in spy movies, unless it's like a talking animals campaign like Zootopia, which that would be pretty cool. Nope. We're making him human, we're gonna make him human, but we can keep variety show host as your character's background. And since this is like a spy espionage campaign, we are going to find a way to work in that variety show host premise into what the possible hook of the campaign's gonna be. I think it would be really cool if your character, this variety show host, was like a Chuck Barris type, but like what Chuck Barris claimed to be and not what he actually was. Imagine a secret agent, deep undercover, as a variety show host that uses their charm and charisma to get information that they need. Whoa, this is a completely different character now. All we had to do was change the name, make the species workable with the plot, and just tweak their backstory a little bit. And we already have a character that fits with the theme, but also lets you keep your original vision. And also doesn't completely break the intended genre. Not only is your character unique, but you also have a lot of comedic opportunities. Since your character is in-game a professional comedian, it makes sense for you to quip, give one-liners, tell jokes. If you're having trouble applying this to your character, I'll give you an example that we all kind of know. The best example of a joke character in a campaign is Ron Weasley. Like the first 3 years of Ron Weasley before he got all emo and pubescent. Ron Weasley is like the best case scenario for your joke character. Ron Weasley is a good name because it's not a very serious name, but it also feels plausible in a kind of modern but also children's book kind of naming convention. The premise of Ron is great. He has full confidence in his magic that doesn't work, and that has so much potential for comedy. Normally, when you make your character intentionally bad at something, it can really annoy the party, but the reason why Ron works is because being bad at magic doesn't really detriment the other characters, because all the other characters are good at magic. Wherever Ron lacks in skill, someone else can pick up after him. So the only person really affected by his lack of skill is himself. This premise of being constantly bad at magic also gives you plenty of room to grow. It's a pretty obvious progression point. Get better at magic. And since you're so bad at magic and it keeps on affecting you, that's going to make people want to root for you. It's going to make people want you to get better at magic and improve over time. And then you look outside of his premise and he is loyal and brave, and he has a sense of humor outside of his premise of being a bad wizard. He exists as a character outside of his character gag. Ron is a really good character in a very bad franchise. Do not at me. And remember, if none of this works for you, you can always just keep this joke character later for a one-shot. I doubt someone would have sent you this video if the campaign they were running was just going to be like a one-shot. I'm assuming this campaign is going to be something you're committing to, or at least intend on committing to. And again, this is not a personal attack against you. This isn't supposed to be insulting to you as a person in any way. And it's not like we never want you to eat gummy bears ever again. We just would like you to bring something different that fits in with what everyone else is bringing, so we can all enjoy this thing that we got going on a little bit more. And also, if you're just unwilling to compromise in any way, you don't want to make any changes to your character, and you refuse to play unless you're playing this joke character specifically, you are actively ruining the game, and I would not be surprised if you got kicked out of your group. So maybe just compromise. No pressure. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I'm still kind of a baby when it comes to YouTube, so watching the video all the way through like this really makes me happy personally. If you feel like subscribing, please do. If you don't feel like subscribing, I don't care. I'm just glad that you're here. I hope I gave you at least one thing that you can use in your campaign, and if I never see you again, then I hope I improved your game by at least 1%. Also, we have a Discord now. There's a Discord server. I'm running one-shots like every other week on Roll20. And so if you want to have fun with a one-shot that I'm running for free, you can go ahead and join. There's also a private campaign that I run for all my patrons. They're on the screen right now, all my cool patrons. If you want to participate in the cool private campaign, there's still time before we have our session 0. So it's only $3 a month. It's like the lowest amount Patreon lets me charge you. You should check it out if you're interested in playing a game online that I run. But if you really like this video and you really want to go the extra mile as a player, I made a video about how to be good at role-playing. Not how to be better, how to be good at role-playing. And it's right here on the screen. You can click on that whatever you want to. The next video I'm gonna make is gonna be for the Dungeon Masters, and it's gonna be about when they should frustrate their players and when the campaign should be frustrating. That's the end of the video. I'll see you then, or on the Discord.